You know that feeling, right? You see someone and it's like they just glide through life. They start a business, it works, they need something, it just shows up. Success just seems to find them.
While the rest of us are, working twice as hard.
Exactly, doing all the right things, and still we miss the mark. Or, and this is the crazy part, we sometimes get the exact opposite of what we want.
That gap, that's what we're getting into today, that space between effort and outcome. Our source material is based on Joseph Murphy's work, specifically his insights on the power of your subconscious mind.
And the idea is that it's not about luck.
Not at all. It's about an operational mechanism that's running under the surface. So our mission for you today is pretty simple. We've pulled out 6 really specific and actionable takeaways from this material.
Not just theory.
No, practical stuff. Things that explain how your mind works and, more importantly, how you can start programming it for that effortless success you were talking about.
Okay, let's unpack this. I feel like we have to start with the basics, right? The actual machinery.
We have to. If you don't get the structure, none of the techniques make sense. So the central idea uses this fantastic analogy of a ship. Think of your conscious mind. That's the captain.
Right, the one on the bridge, looking out at the ocean, making the decisions.
Exactly. The captain sees the world, reads the maps, decides on the destination. He's the one giving the orders.
And then way down below deck, you've got the subconscious mind, the engineer.
The engineer. And here's the key. The engineer can't see outside. He doesn't know where the ship is going. He doesn't question the route.
His only job is to follow the captain's orders.
Faithfully. Blindly. And this is the critical insight. If the captain gives a disastrous order, like full steam ahead towards an iceberg.
The engineer just does it, even if it runs the ship straight onto the rocks.
Precisely. The subconscious mind, it doesn't argue. It doesn't reason. It just accepts.
There's another analogy too, right? Something about soil.
Yeah, that's another great way to picture it. The subconscious is like fertile soil. You can plant a seed of, say, abundance, or you can plant a seed of doubt. The soil doesn't care.
It doesn't judge the seed.
It just provides all the energy needed to grow whatever you plant. A beautiful fruit tree or a destructive weed. It's all the same to the soil.
So if my conscious mind is constantly feeding it thoughts like, this is too hard or I'll never get there.
Your subconscious just starts building the reality of too hard. It's like the engineer taking an order that says, prepare for catastrophic failure.
That's powerful. You see this with hypnosis, right?
Absolutely. The perfect example. You tell someone in a deep trance that this glass of water is actually vinegar.
And they'll physically recoil.
They'll make a face, they'll taste vinegar, because their subconscious accepted the belief from the authority, the hypnotist, as absolute truth, even when objective reality says it's just water.
Okay, so this leads to the first big practical nugget, the thing you can start listening for in your own head. If you hear yourself saying, I'd love that car, but just can't afford it. Or, I want that vacation, but there's no way.
That but, that's the command.
Right. You think you're just stating a fact about your circumstances, but what you're actually doing is giving a firm command to your engineer.
You're creating the very circumstances of lack,
Yeah.
and then you look around and blame the world for what your own subconscious has just built for you.
That is a tough pill to swallow.
It really is, because it puts all the responsibility back on us. It's so much easier to blame, the economy or your job.
But according to this, you basically told your engineer to run the ship aground.
By focusing on the rocks instead of the destination.
Yeah. It's a huge burden, but I guess it's also a huge opportunity. So that mechanism, that whole captain-engineer dynamic, brings us right to the topic of money.
And the material is very, very clear on this. It's not just okay to be rich. The phrase used is very good.
It compares economic health to blood circulating in the body. It needs to flow freely.
Right, and then it labels poverty.
Wow.
Well, it calls it a mental illness.
Which is a really provocative way of putting it.
It is. But the point is to frame it as something that originates from a persistent mental state of limitation, not from external forces.
So it identifies these internal blocks, these emotional obstacles that stop people.
Exactly. 3 main ones. The ways we sabotage ourselves without even realizing it.
Okay, obstacle number 1.
Envy and condemnation.
Ah. So seeing someone else's success and feeling that sting of jealousy?
That sting is devastatingly effective self-sabotage. Here's why. The wealth itself is neutral, right? But the emotion you create in response to it, the envy, the criticism, that's your thought.
Happening inside my head.
Right. And your subconscious mind diligently records that feeling. So now its definition of wealth is linked to your feeling of negativity and repulsion. And it applies that definition to your own life.
Oh, wow. So I'm not hurting the guy in the Ferrari. I'm telling my own engineer, whatever that is, keep it away from me. That stuff is bad. It makes me feel awful.
You got it. There's this vivid analogy in the source. Wealth is like a really attractive person at a bar. If you walk up to them and immediately start criticizing how they look or how successful they are, they're not going to stick around.
They're going to leave. You lose what you condemn.
You lose what you condemn.
That one sticks with you.
So what's the fix? How do you stop that knee-jerk reaction?
You have to consciously reframe it right then and there. See someone's success and genuinely feel happy for them. You change the internal command to, wow, if they can do that, it's proof that it can be done. I can do it too.
You shift it from condemnation to possibility.
That's the command your engineer needs.
All right, let's move to the second big obstacle, which feels counterintuitive. Trying too hard, the failure of willpower.
Yeah, this goes against everything we're taught about hustling and grinding. But the issue is a conflict between your desire and your imagination.
What do you mean?
Okay, take the classic example. A wooden plank is on the floor. You can walk across it easily, no problem.
Of course.
Now put that same plank between two buildings 50 meters up. You desire to cross, but your imagination
Immediately goes to falling. Right. And that image, that fear of falling, becomes the dominant idea. And the subconscious mind always responds to the dominant idea, not the desire.
I know that feeling. It's like in an exam trying to remember something vital, and the harder you try, the more your mind just goes blank.
Total blank. And then the second you walk out and relax,
It all comes flooding back. Because the pressure is off.
the pressure is counterproductive. The solution is what they call the effortless way. Relaxation. You have to stop trying to force it. Instead, you focus all your attention on the end result, the finished state.
And the feeling of it.
The feeling is everything. Feeling and imagination. That's the language of the subconscious. It doesn't understand logic. It understands feeling.
So just wanting wealth isn't enough.
No, because wanting comes from a place of lack, right? It's a feeling of not having.
I see.
But if you focus on the finished state, you generate the feeling of gratitude, relief, joy, as if it's already done. And that positive emotional vibration, that's the blueprint the engineer uses to start building.
Okay, so you have the blueprint. You've got that feeling of the finished state. But then there's the question of how. My conscious mind immediately wants a step-by-step plan.
And that's where we trip ourselves up every time. The material says to trust your subconscious like you trust a doctor.
Oh, so.
You go to the doctor, you explain the problem, and then you step back and listen for the prescription. You don't tell the doctor how to solve it.
But that's so hard. The captain wants to be in control.
The captain wants control, but the engineer is connected to things the captain can't even see from the bridge. It knows routes you don't.
This is where that anecdote from the author comes in, which is just, it's a perfect example.
A crucial nugget, yeah. So he had a specific financial goal in mind, a monetary amount, and he started visualizing it.
And he had a plan. He decided the money had to come from his YouTube channel.
Right, so he poured all his energy into that.
Yeah.
But nothing was really happening there. Instead, out of the blue, these really solid real estate deals started showing up.
And he ignored them at first.
He kept ignoring them because he was so fixated on his conscious plan, it has to be YouTube, that he couldn't see the answer when it was right in front of him.
So what happened when he finally gave in?
He pursued one of the deals, and everything just flowed. But here's the crazy part, the real validation. When the deal closed, the final profit was almost 100% identical to the number he'd been visualizing. Actually, it was a few dollars more.
No way.
And he says this happened 2 more times. The exact amount he needed, showing up from a completely unexpected channel.
That is powerful proof that the goal is the destination, but the subconscious finds the route. We have to let go of that control.
You have to. Don't tell the engineer which tools to use.
Which brings us to visualization itself. This isn't just a nice to have. The material says it's a necessity.
It's fundamental. You have to see the finished building before a single brick is laid. You have to count your chickens before they hatch.
And there's a specific time to do this, right?
Yeah.
A best practice.
Yes, and it's tactical. The best time is when you're relaxed and sleepy, just before you fall asleep, or right after meditation.
Why then?
Because in that drowsy, relaxed state, the conflict between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is at its lowest. The critical, analytical captain is sort of off duty.
You're sidelining the captain to talk directly to the engineer.
That's it, exactly. And you're giving the engineer a job to do while you sleep. People forget, that part of your mind never rests. It's running your heart, your lungs, everything 24/7.
So you plant that image.
That clear, emotionally charged image,
Hmm.
and you let that tireless power go to work on it. I mean, think of historical figures like Tesla or Einstein.
Mhm.
They talked about solving problems in their sleep all the time. So with that foundation, let's tackle that last big obstacle, fear.
The great neutralizer.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Fear is like giving the engineer a perfect blueprint and then immediately screaming, abort mission.
Right, the confused taxi driver analogy. You get in, you give a clear destination.
And then every block you shout a different conflicting address. Go here. No, wait, go there. No, stop.
The driver gets confused and you end up going nowhere. The fear of failure literally creates the experience of failure because that's where all your focus is.
So the technique to overcome it is deeply practical. You sit still a few times a day just for 5 or 10 minutes, get deeply relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
and then you vividly imagine the outcome you want. If you fear swimming, you don't think about the water. You imagine the feeling of the cool water, of gliding effortlessly, the joy of it.
You're implanting a new dominant image.
So that next time you face the actual activity, that positive image is what surfaces first.
Okay, let's shift to guidance. We've talked about money, but what about a big life decision? How do you get a specific answer?
It's a similar process. Quiet the mind, focus on the problem, and here's the key, you don't focus on the problem itself. You focus on the feeling of having the perfect solution,
The feeling of relief, of clarity.
that joy and resolution. You generate that mood, and then you just let it go. Drop off to sleep.
But what if you wake up and there's no booming voice from the heavens? How do you know if a thought is a real hunch or just, your own anxiety?
That's the critical part. The answer rarely comes as a clear thought. If it's not there in the morning, the advice is to get busy with something else.
And it will just pop up.
It comes as a hunch, an inner awareness, a strong feeling that you just have to follow. The author's story about his lost ring is perfect.
He had no idea where it was.
None. But after using this technique, he got this totally inexplicable hunch to go ask his neighbor, Robert. It made zero logical sense.
But he did it.
He followed the hunch, and sure enough, Robert had found the ring and put it on his own table. It's that kind of clear inner prompt.
Okay, let's talk about forgiveness. This is a huge one. Forgiving others, but maybe even more forgiving ourselves.
And life itself is the model here. Life always forgives. You cut your finger, and the healing process starts immediately. It renews.
But we hold on to the mental wound, the guilt, for years.
For decades, sometimes. But here's where the source material gives us this incredible scientific fact to anchor on.
This one blew my mind.
Scientists say that basically every cell in your physical body is replaced every 11 months.
Think about that. The person who made that mistake 5 years ago.
Is, from a physical and cellular standpoint, literally dead now. They don't exist anymore.
So if you're still beating yourself up for that mistake,
You're punishing an innocent person, the new you.
that reframes everything. It gives you permission to let go.
It really does. Which leads to the final takeaway. Healing. Your subconscious mind is the master engineer that built your body in the first place.
It knows exactly how to fix it.
Infinitely better than any machine we could build. It's running countless complex healing and restoration processes, 24/7,
So why do we get sick? Why doesn't it just work perfectly all the time?
because the captain interferes. Worry, anxiety, fear, these are all products of the conscious mind that jam the signals to the engineer. It's like a random person barging into the cockpit and distracting the pilot.
So the actionable step is to get out of the way.
It's to guard the door of your conscious mind, like a bodyguard. You only allow thoughts of harmony, health, and peace to get through. Keep the captain busy with the expectation of the best.
Because the final rule is the same for health as it is for wealth.
The subconscious accepts what you feel to be true. The dominant idea has to be health, not illness. Abundance, not lack. Hashtag tag tag outro. So if we had to synthesize all of this, the bottom line is, the key to changing your life is simply changing the quality of the commands you're giving the engineer.
It all comes down to mental discipline.
It really does. Ensuring that your dominant idea, the one you cultivate with feeling and imagination, is always the outcome you want.
For me, the most surprising thing, the nugget that really stands out, is that 11-month cell renewal idea. It gives you a literal biological deadline for letting go. If you're a new person every year, why on earth would you carry the baggage of the old one?
And that leads to one last thought, sort of building on that idea for you to take with you. If the person who made your past mistakes is literally dead and gone, what commands of doubt or fear or lack are you feeding your mind today?
That the person you'll be in 11 months is going to have to pay for.
Exactly.
Wow, that changes how you think about your thoughts right now. It makes them an ethical duty to your future self. The power is right here, right now. We hope this deep dive gives you the tools to start using it.